Welcome back to another episode of Unlock the Story. My name is Krystle, and if this is your first time watching one of our videos, a very special welcome to you. This is a place where we come together to talk about art and creativity, and right now we're focusing in on asking the question, why would they do that? Taking a look at artistic license and why artists make the choice they make. Now, asking this question can help us shift the way we approach art and creativity as participants as well as creators. Now, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of all future videos like Psalms microfilms that are coming out, behind the scenes David Chronicles videos, and Unlock the Story episodes like this one. Today, I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about The Chosen and specifically to take a look at their decision to not show the Transfiguration of Jesus. Now, I'm sure many of you know what The Chosen is, but if you don't, here's a quick recap. The Chosen is a streaming show created, co-written, and directed by Dallas Jenkins. Set in the 1st century, it depicts Jesus' ministry starting with the gathering of his 12 disciples and the events that happened over the next 3 years. Now in its 4th season, it is wildly acclaimed, loved by many people worldwide, as well as criticized by some. Now, before we go any further, I have just a few disclaimers. First, I'm not going to try to represent Dallas Jenkins beyond what he has publicly stated. Yes, we are going to be trying to understand his thought process, but I don't know him personally and do not know the beginnings nor the details of his thought process or his full feelings on this choice. Secondly, I'm not a theologian, and while I'm going to speak to the significance of the Transfiguration, I won't be doing a deep dive into all the theological significances and the scriptural connections. If that's of interest to you, I would suggest that after watching this video, you go and watch a few more that are from a teacher or a theologian, and we will try to find a few options for you and put them in the comment section below. Now, to refresh our memories about the Transfiguration of Jesus. The Transfiguration of Jesus is depicted in Matthew 17, started at verse 2, Mark 9, starting also at verse 2, and finally Luke 9, starting at verse 28. It's an amazing moment where, as the Voice translation says, something spectacular happened. Jesus' face began to glow and gleam and shine like the morning sun. His clothes gleamed too, bright white, like sunlight mirroring off a snowfall. He was, in a word, transfigured. It goes on to say that Jesus was joined by Moses and Elijah, those icons of the faith, beloved of God, and that they spoke to Jesus. Of course, Peter, being Peter, who is witnessing this event, has a response. Lord, how amazing that we are here to see these heroes of our faith, these men whom through God spoke. Should I quickly build some shelter, 3 small tabernacles for you, for Moses, for Elijah? As Peter spoke, a bright cloud enveloped all of them. And here's my favorite part. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." On first reading of this, you have to ask the question, why wouldn't you want to depict the Transfiguration of Jesus? I mean, come on. The drama of it, the opportunity to do amazing special effects. Doesn't this moment deserve that? We have seen the representations of the Transfiguration of Jesus in the past. The Jesus film, which has been seen worldwide by millions of people in I don't know how many languages, shows the Transfiguration, as well as the film on the book of Mark. Let's quickly watch a side-by-side of how they depict the Transfiguration of Jesus.
And while he was praying, the aspect of his face changed its appearance, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly 2 men were talking with him. They were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in heavenly glory.
You will fulfill God's purpose.
You will die in Jerusalem.
There he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus.
Now let's view my favorite visual representation of the Transfiguration of Jesus by Superbook, a children's cartoon originally from the 1980s and rebooted in 2011. Here's how they depict the Transfiguration of Jesus in Season 4, Episode 9.
My Father in heaven, holy is your name above all names. May your name be glorified.
So all this brings us back to The Chosen, the most current modern storytelling and depiction of Jesus, and where I think some of the controversy, if you will, comes about with Dallas Jenkins's decision not to depict the Transfiguration. We understand the Transfiguration now as a theological moment where people see concretely that Jesus is not just human, but also divine. Up until this point in his ministry, Jesus has been performing miracles. There have been many signs and wonders. He has spoken with incredible wisdom. But there hasn't been a clear depiction of his divinity. In this moment of the Transfiguration, we are told that his clothes gleamed, his face glowed, and it was bright, shining like the morning sun. I mean, that's pretty incredible, and if I was seeing it, seems very divine. The beauty of The Chosen is that it humanizes Jesus. We so often think about the divinity of Jesus that we often forget about the humanity of Jesus and what it might have been like for him to have given up his divinity to become human. And The Chosen shows that journey and what it might have been like for the disciples as well. They do this thoughtfully and in a way that we can really start to identify, sympathize, and even empathize with the people that lived long ago. People that we often see only as characters, fairy tales, and stories. We forget that they were real people with flesh and blood, people who had to make decisions and had real reactions without hindsight. There's that word again, hindsight. It came up in my conversation with Val last month and how we often look at scripture and the text with the gift of hindsight, knowing what happened and how the story ends. The Chosen, with their focus on humanizing Jesus and the disciples, really brings us into each moment with the feeling of everything happening now. Hindsight has been removed from the storytelling. So, here we have this moment of the Transfiguration of Jesus, where we see so clearly his divinity, the fact that he is fully God and fully man. And what does Dallas Jenkins have to say about this moment? What purpose would it serve our story? People keep saying the Transfiguration would be an important scene, and I'm confused as to why. What purpose would it serve our story? Dallas's response can seem shocking to people that are so focused and so connected with the divinity of Jesus. What do you mean, how would it serve our story? Of course it serves our story. It's Jesus. He is fully God, not just fully man. So we want to see that. Plus, on a personal note, come on, the best depiction we have of the Transfiguration of Jesus comes from a cartoon. I mean, with all the technology available at our fingertips, some of which I am sure Dallas and the people behind The Chosen have access to because they do such top quality work. I mean, I want to see their version of the Transfiguration of Jesus. What kind of movie magic could they bring to this moment to help us understand a little bit deeper as to what this could have been like to have been there? On the other hand, I can see Dallas's point. What artistic purpose would it serve their story? They're focused on the humanity of Jesus' story, not the divinity. So that was their choice. Don't show the transfiguration of Jesus. The true artistic license that Dallas took was to focus in and to keep narrow on one element of the story, the narrow focus of the humanity of Jesus. Of course, he doesn't say all of that when he gives his response, but he kind of does by saying and asking the question, what purpose would it serve? Dallas wants to keep our eyes on the humanity of Jesus, the day-to-day exploration of life, not knowing what's going to happen next, not having what could feel like the magic pill or the trump card, the knowledge that it's all going to work out okay because Jesus is God. What Dallas is showing us in this decision is the truth that all artists are dealing with on a daily basis. We can't show and depict it all well. Telling a story demands that we limit ourselves and have strong parameters. Sometimes, by the nature of the medium, those parameters are obvious. For instance, a woodcarver is going to tell their story through wood. They may add other parameters, like the carving can only be 10 centimeters tall, or it must be carved from oak. A painter may choose oil paint to tell their story, and a canvas that's 1 by 1 meter large. Now that's a big surface to fill, but it still limits their scope. They may further guide their story by choosing to use only 2 primary colors to mix and paint with. The point that I'm getting at is that Dallas has created parameters to The Chosen, a way of making sure he stays on track while telling the story. And by virtue of this, there are parts of the larger story he won't be telling. While film can seem like an endless canvas able to depict all to the viewer, Dallas knows that the best stories stay within the limitations given to ensure that the main focus comes through with crisp 4K clarity. Now, I'm not saying that Dallas was right. I'm not saying Dallas was wrong. But I think I can understand a little bit better now why he made that artistic decision. And maybe, just maybe, we've answered the question, why did he do that? So, what do you think? Let us know in the comment section below and let's keep the conversation going.